Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ENCA.com. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. If you have never seen the iconic 2000s Jim Carrey comedy film Dumb and Dumber, don't worry. If you're in South Africa, we're seeing it happen in front of us every single day. And the last week, particularly the last 24 hours, it's felt like we are living in a world where all of the allegedly corrupt and criminal people happen to also be the dumbest people in South Africa. We're going to talk about 3 stories today. The first one, it turns out if you're well enough connected, you can organize for the record of your criminal history and convictions to be scrubbed. We now all know about the name Stuart Sharnick, a man who seems to be a close personal protector of Shadrack Sibiya and also involved in a bunch of dodgy stuff. He did some really dumb stuff this week and then got it found out thoroughly yesterday. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about Cedrick Nkabinde. He went before the Ad Hoc committee yesterday and literally told Parliament that he had thumbsucked his word, not mine, some of the testimony that he'd officially put into the record of his version of events before Parliament. But maybe we will reserve dumbest for Julius Mkhwanazi, not Nhlanhla, no relation. He's been described as the blue lights blesser for arranging Kat Matlala's blue lights. Julius Mkhwanazi has been caught out all week long in hyper-compromising videos, including a video of him going with a group of people to steal copper cables. What is going on? The only place to watch the full show is on ENCA.com. The link is in the description if you're watching on YouTube. It's going to be a wild show. You can go and get merchandise at www.3beaniesnetwork.com. Find our WhatsApp channel. Just search it. If you can't find it, the link is also in the description on YouTube. Stuart Sharnick, you may not have heard of him. He's a loud man. He is loud and in not the good ways.
Almost as loud as his shirts. Almost
as loud as his shirts. It feels like a cautionary tale in like Shakespeare. So, Dumisani Khumalo spoke at length in a bunch of his testimonies about Stuart Sharnick, a man who he says is very close with Shadrack Sibiya. His Bucky was at a house that was involved in criminality, and Stuart Sharnick, according to Dumisani Khumalo, has committed all of these crimes, including hijackings and the rest. So, Stuart Sharnick on Wednesday went to the media and also went to the police station, apparently. He said he was opening a case against Dumisani Khumalo for lying about him and besmirching his reputation and, speaking completely like nonsense about him. That was on Wednesday. And I'm going to read you exactly what he said. We have to start with the lies that he, Dumisani Khumalo, put on record that I was convicted of 18 hijackings. I have not been convicted of one hijacking in my life. I have my records from the local criminal records center, and if General Khumalo had any intelligence, as the head of intelligence, he would have picked up the phone and phoned. So that was Wednesday. On Thursday, we had another KZN in Durban cops press conference. And one thing that South Africa now knows is if a cop in KZN wants to talk to the media, we're strapping in. We are getting our streams up. We're jumping onto YouTube. And a KZN cop came out and said that they had discovered that a corrupt cop within their own ranks had tried to wipe Stuart Sharnick's criminal record from their own system. But Dumb and Dumber, this corrupt cop, did not know that you've got to wipe it in 2 ways and only wiped it in one way. It turns out the way that the KZN police or the Durban police described it as they wiped the record or tried to adjust it, made adjustments from the front end and not the back end of the system. And so incredibly awkwardly, not only do the Durban cops still have Stuart Sharnick's criminal record details, but they also have very specific details of how the corrupt official tried and failed to wipe Stuart Sharnick's record. He literally gave the date in January and the time of day just before 5 p.m. when this moron tried and failed to do this. And because this cop because the Durban police now had all of our attention, they went into detail about what exactly is in Stuart Sharnick's case files and his criminal record. More than 30 active case dockets, 29 or 30 case dockets. And according to the Durban cops, inspections of the dockets revealed 10 of the cases against Stuart Sharnick involved vehicle theft, and 8 are carjackings. Now, maybe Stuart Sharnick thinks there's a difference between a hijacking and a carjacking, but I'll tell you something, I don't. And so he went out on Wednesday and said, I've never been convicted of hijacking. I don't know if this is like a US President Bill Clinton kind of thing with Monica Lewinsky. And this feels like exactly what Stuart Sharnick did, because he said, I have not been convicted of one hijacking in my life. But the kind of like the Dumb and Dumber arrogance and idiocy to go to the media on a Wednesday, he obviously didn't know this was going to happen on the Thursday. But to have the audacity to say, you can go check my criminal records. I did. Khumalo should have just called. I have my records from the local crime record center. Knowing, we assume, because why else would somebody wipe Stuart Sharnick's record unless it was him trying to get them to do so, that his record had been tampered with and compromised. So now there's a bunch of other stuff with the Stuart Sharnick story. So the police want to know how he got a slap on the wrist, 150,000 Rand fine plea deal to try and make a bunch of these case investigations go away. So we need to know more about that. We also need to know, and I'm sorry, but this is just objectively very funny. He applied for and failed an application for a firearms license 5 times. On the 6th attempt, he got a rifle license. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. To me, that feels like you tried to get a manual driver's license 5 times, and on the 6th, you were like, I'm just going to do automatic. I can't get out of the yard.
Chief, after 3. Chief, after 3, are we still trying? Like, maybe we should just let this one lie, you know? And it's a gun. It's a serious thing. This isn't the kind of thing we need to
Julius
be playing with.
might be going to jail over that. Remember that, how wild this year has been.
Yeah.
And just to get slightly serious for a second, the Durban police who spoke in this press conference, yes, they were right. They were saying, like, carjacking, we're talking about a violent crime done with force and aggressive emotions, and there are 8 such cases. So it's really, really, really serious. And now people are going to investigate, and all of that is very good. So that's the first story.
I just have a question. Is this implicated in the Ad Hoc committee? Because it feels like the reason why Sharnick is being focused on in the Ad Hoc committee is because, or in Madlanga, in this broader narrative, is because of his association with Sibiya.
Yeah, it was what Khumalo said on the record, which then made Sharnick respond, which has now led to this.
I'm just trying to understand how this relates to like the Big 5 picture that's being brought in and stuff. Or is it just evidence that Sibiya is associated with these kinds of people?
Yeah, that's what it is, because of the Toyota Bucky and because allegedly like Sibiya rented it from him as an armored car, and Sharnick was like constantly around him. Yeah, it's just like, this is someone we should talk to and talk about and figure out. Why are you smiling?
It was a crazy Easter egg to be watching the Madlanga Commission, and then there's this very specific screenshot that Khumalo was using where it's a screenshot of Sibiya testifying at the Ad Hoc committee. And then just a big red circle around Sharnick sitting directly behind him. And then they brought up ENCA footage of the Bucky at Sibiya's house when his house was raided.
Mad.
And you're just like, this is like, I know we say MCU a lot, but this did feel like an Easter egg. I was like, see, what? You're supposed to be in that movie. What you doing in this movie? What the hell?
It's definitely a crossover episode.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I know that we need to talk about Cedrick Nkabinde, but I just want to talk about Julius Mkhwanazi, because this man... So again, blue lights blesser, allegedly the one who organized for Kat Matlala to get blue lights, amongst a bunch of other things. Turns out, allegedly, in the last 24 hours, we've discovered that Julius Mkhwanazi was being specifically protected by high-ranking political appointments because they knew that he would look after them and associates within the Ekurhuleni police department. But it's way deeper than that. So they were talking about 600,000 Rand being paid to make sure that Julius Mkhwanazi was protected, and like, because they were allegedly he was their guy, implicated people, corrupt and dangerous alleged criminals. But it's so much crazier than that, because these can all sound like allegations and hearsay, or like we have to wait for evidence until you see the Christmas party video where Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi tells the former city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, "We will die for you."
We will die for you.
He shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be at the party of the former city manager. It's absolutely a compromising. It's kind of like, remember the pictures of Edwin Sodi's birthday party and all of those big ANC people were there? It's like that. It's like, you just shouldn't be there, man. Not a good idea. So apparently those who supported Mkhwanazi and protected Mkhwanazi were rewarded with salary increases of 600,000 of your best South African rands. And by the way, South African rand pretty good right now with like 17 around to the dollar, best in years. But it's just like, again, Dumb and Dumber, if this is happening, don't go to the Christmas party and be in a video saying, we will die for you. The Madlanga Commission saw a video of EMPD, that's Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department officers, at a workshop in Meyerton, where they allegedly robbed the workshop of copper cables. And Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi was there. You can see it on the CCTV. That is, if this is true, that is absolutely mental. That is absolutely beyond any reasonable belief. And if that is true, I have to respectfully ask Julius Mkhwanazi, was the bribery money not good enough? That you were like, I also need to go and steal some copper cables from a workshop in Meyerton. That is a level of insanity that if I saw it in a movie, I'd turn off the movie. I'd be like, you've gone too far. This is too Looney Tunes bad guy versus Bugs Bunny-esque. This is too Roadrunner versus Wile E. Coyote-esque. This is too just stupid. It's stupid.
Oftentimes, corruption is a very hypothetical thing, and we see all these numbers go up and up and up and up and up. But like, we all experience it every single day. No matter where you live in South Africa, we experience the results of corruption. And I think we don't. I think what we are failing to do as a country is put these two things together every single day and get mad about the fact that this thing that feels very personal and then this thing that feels very hypothetical, it's the same thing.
It's the thing we talk about with corruption all the time, where because you can't see directly, vividly, perpetrator, I'm the victim, this is something I'm not getting because of this, it's harder to kind of like feel it in a real way.
Not to bring it back to Dada Morero.
James, Johannesburg.
But there are a lot of people complaining, particularly about voters in the Eastern Cape being like, oh, how can they keep voting for the ANC? How can they keep voting for the ANC? Mm-hmm. But I think that this is where this reckoning is coming from. And this is a part of the reason why the ANC lost so many votes last election, is that association is becoming directly linked to ANC rule. Sure. Like the concept of not getting service delivery has so inexplicably been linked to the ANC.
I think you mean inextricably.
Inexplicably?
It can't be explained. You're explaining it right now.
I'm dyslexic, Daniel.
Inextricably means it can't be separated. That's what you meant.
It's a Friday.
Okay.
It's a Friday.
Okay.
But you know what I mean.
Okay. I think since it's a Friday, from now on we should institute a drinking game, which is take a shot every single time James complains about Johannesburg service delivery failures. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm also bleak about it.
I think alcoholism is bad enough in this country. I don't think we need to make it worse.
Okay, let's talk about Cedrick Nkabinde, Chief of Staff for Senzo Mchunu. He shot to our attention after he came out in the media a while ago and said that the Hawks had raided his place, looking for him, had allegedly roughed up his brother who was there. Couldn't find Cedrick, could find brother Nkabinde. And that the Hawks allegedly told Cedrick's brother that they'd been sent to do this by Fani Masemola, and that the same Hawks had arrived the next day at Senzo Mchunu, or one of Senzo Mchunu's places, and Senzo wasn't there to try and seize gadgets. Again, a word that should have died in 1988, but apparently it's a Cold War word. Gadgets is a Cold War word. Anyway, South Africans over the age of 50, bald and implicated, love to talk about gadgets. By the way, if this is the first show of ours you've watched in a while, the bald thing is just because, have you noticed? Everyone involved in this story, in this mess, is bald. Okay, so Cedrick Nkabinde came before the Ad Hoc committee, and it was an absolute joke because he was there to talk about his relationships with Mkhwanazi, not Julius and Nhlanhla. Senzo Mchunu, allegedly he arranged connections between people. This is Nkabinde, arranged meetups and connections between different people. Allegedly, he was the one who facilitated a meeting between Senzo Mchunu and the wonderful enigma that is Brown Mkhwanazi. So now he's been accused of basically trading in information in Nkabinde. And unbelievably, he was taken to task for how some of his testimony didn't line up in terms of dates with what he'd written in and submitted. And he literally said, quote, "I was thumb-sucking." He said that he was thumb-sucking what he officially put on the record under oath. Political parties are now trying to take him to court and put charges against him for perjury, for lying under oath to the South African Parliament. Of course, Nkabinde picked literally the worst person to have this dumb and dumber moment with, because he was speaking with Julius Malema. So Nkabinde said, "I was thumb-sucking." Malema immediately said, "We are being given thumb-sucked information in front of the nation." Then Darlene James, Action SA's MP, who's now actually shot to fame a little bit herself, she said, "Mr. Nkabinde, jy mos regtig ons tyd. Jy mos regtig ons tyd." It's also a Friday. My tongue wasn't doing the rolls there, which just means, Mr. Nkabinde, you're wasting our time. And now they're all going to try and take him to court and get him in trouble. But I want to focus on something else that has been less well reported. Cedrick Nkabinde spent a lot of his testimony talking about how close chums he is with Madlanga Commission, which seems hilarious considering Madlanga Commission's side of this battle have been literally trying to take him out. Hawks raided his place. I don't think Madlanga Commission is a fan of Cedrick Nkabinde. And the quotes are absolutely hilarious. So, James, I'm going to paint you a scene here. Nkabinde met Mkhwanazi at IPID, apparently. They, according to him, became chums. And then Norman Arendse, who's the evidence leader, asked Nkabinde what he meant by saying that Nkabinde and Mkhwanazi did some errands in Empangeni. And then Nkabinde said it was personal stuff for General Mkhwanazi. I think it's safe to say it was a boys' trip. Safe to say it like that, otherwise me and him will get in trouble because I believe his wife and my wife are watching here. In saying I think it's safe to say it was a boys' trip, but I won't go into further details because our wives can't find out about it. What are you doing? You're basically, that's what they said in The Hangover. That's literally like, did you go to strip clubs and meet up with women? Why? Like, what exactly did you do that means that your wives shouldn't know exactly what you did? And calling it a boys' trip, I know that we saw Mkhwanazi at the Pirates game over the weekend, but to reduce this to, me and the boys are going to go out and have a little weekend and we're not going to tell our wives about it. And this is what you're saying in the Ad Hoc committee regarding the man who has literally instigated and lit the paper for a generational mafia police criminality investigation. I could not believe his word choice.
I still wonder whether the people testifying before the Ad Hoc committee know that it's Parliament and know that it's under oath, because they're just saying whatever. Can you imagine what Sharnick is going to say when he goes to the Ad Hoc committee if this is what he's been saying before it? It is like, it now makes me like kind of nostalgic for going back to like Mqunu and Masemola and stuff. It was like, oh,
they were boring.
At least they would respected the gravitas of what they were doing. Like, this is just a joke at this point.
I don't think any of these guys know that this is being recorded or broadcast.
Like, how do you keep finding out about this?
But you took away my gadgets. How does everyone know what I've been saying? Crazy, absolutely crazy. So that's Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest for this Friday in an absolute, I don't know. I think at this point we might, and I know this is a controversial thing to say. I know it's very dangerous to say this in South Africa, but I think we finally might be scraping the barrel. I think we may have finally got to the bottom at this point.
I just don't believe that. I think that this is what is one thing that's been revealed about this is that it gets more and more insane every layer of the onion you peel away. I do think we should put a poll on the WhatsApp channel and ask guys, which one do you think is the dumbest?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that could be good.